All right, gents, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be answering your questions that you guys have been having in the comments about a lot of the videos that we've been producing. So we figured we'd take the time in order to answer most of your questions and get back to you. So we're going to be answering 3 questions in this video today. And the first one's going to start with Mr. Algermon Wolf Whistle 6351. He says, I don't know what the percentage of golfers is who can carry a ball 260 yards, but I suspect that it's in the very low single figures.
So he's guessing like 4 or 5% or 3%, something like that.
Right.
The actual stats, I mean, first of all, the interesting thing, I don't know if he's like skeptical that it's like a really difficult thing to achieve or not. Mm-hmm. But if we go over to the stats here, it's very low single figures for 300 yards.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you're looking at like tour players and above for that. Like, don't get me wrong, you're going to have single digits that are going to shoot. We're going to hit it over 300 yards, but it's more pushing towards tour players. That's why the percentage is so small.
Yeah, it's super small. But then, 275 plus is like 11%. Well, 15 if you include 300.
Correct.
And that's actually 31% who can hit it over 250. So
a third of golfers can hit it over 250 yards.
Yeah, so if 260, you're probably looking at a quarter.
So what we're basically saying is like a third of golfers can essentially, and this is based on mygolfspy.com. So essentially a third of golfers have the ability to become scratch players because they're already like they've met that barrier to entry.
Yeah,
already.
And I don't know if this is average or not. They don't actually specify here, but like either way, I mean, if 31% are hitting it over 250, maybe a quarter is over 260.
Yeah,
it's definitely achievable. I mean, you do have to look at your age partially. When we looked at the last video for 260 plus, like, the average scratch golfer until like I think their 50s or 60s hits it 260 plus or like closer to 270.
Correct.
Then obviously if you get above that, you're not going to hit it as far, but you're always still going to be probably playing a shorter course, like shorter tees or something.
But that's like the whole point is like take the time, take the effort now to build that.
Yeah.
So that when you do get to that age, you're not going to be losing. You're still going to be able to enjoy it in your 50s, 60s, and 70s if you choose to play that long.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not that hard.
No.
You don't have to be that strong. Like most guys probably wouldn't even have to technically go to the gym to hit a 260, probably, right?
No, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there is a pretty big correlation between sustaining that type of speed and getting it up over that, which is kind of what we're trying to do. Like as an example, I played with an older gentleman just the other day. We played at my home club and he hits at like 175, 190 off the tee, maybe something in that range. Like right down the middle, your typical old guy that stripes it. But he was just so appalled. He's like, man, if I had like 20, 30, 40, 50 more, he's like, I would be, and he's like 77.
Yeah.
So he's like,
he's doing great for his age.
He's doing absolutely incredible. He's playing the front decks, which was awesome. And he's like, man, if I could play with like 30, 40 more yards off the tee, he's like, I'd be able to become a single digit player and enjoy golf way more just from being able to hit it a little bit further.
Yeah, that's the tough thing is when you're 77, I mean, odds are your muscle.
You're declining,
yeah,
I understand.
You're not building muscle.
Sure.
But like when you're younger, that's why it's so important, I think, is you get more time when you're younger to do that so that, your golf career is longer.
1000%. Yeah. Okay, so Daniel-36 says, how do you go from he's like, I'm in and around a 7 to a 9, and I want to go from like a 4 or just below. So if you go back and watch the series of our previous videos, you should start there and then rewatch those because that lays out essentially what we've said over the course of like
the How to Scratch series. Right?
How to become a scratch player series. That's going to be number 1. So go back and watch that. Just to kind of reiterate that. Going from a 7 to a 9, more often than not, if you can hit the barrier to entry and you like get on a TrackMan, don't go on any other monitors, but if you can get on a TrackMan and you're covering it over 260 yards, congratulations, you've met the first barrier to entry. Then that makes hitting greens and regulations that much easier. So from there, once you've established gaining all of that speed, then you can start working on mechanics with a coach. And obviously making sure you're hitting the ball a lot straighter, having a shorter club into hole was just easier to hit the green from that perspective. So make sure you're working on ball striking, make sure you're working on mechanics. And then once you've kind of dialed in a specific shot type, fade or draw, and you're comfortable with that and you feel like you have good contact, you're making center strikes, all your mechanics are in a good spot, then you can really start to grind short game and putting after that, which will really tighten things up. But even just fixing your driving and your ball striking, you'll probably become...
So start there, ball striking.
Yeah. Like once you've met the barrier to entry to hitting it at least 260 yards off the tee, then you can move to ball striking and mechanics.
Yeah. So coming from that exact move that he actually just said, coming from like a 9 down to like a 4.
Because that's where you did.
That's where I just was. I think there's a few things that really helped. Like One, I definitely played a decent amount, and that's probably the biggest difference I think between scratch or 4 or 5 is like how often can you actually practice and play. Probably, but it's the same journey. You're gonna learn the same things. But there's one other video you did, which was a chipping video where you were teaching me a specific chip shot. Go back in the YouTube, watch that one because that one was like instant.
Yeah.
Where it saved me like probably a stroke or two around just from like having this one tip of how to chip it from a certain lie. So.
Yeah. There's actually a couple videos in there.
Yeah.
Okay, next question is from Ange Bangus, and he says, great insight on the wedges. We had a Cobra snakebite video, so if you guys haven't seen that video, go back. It's about a year old, where I overviewed the Cobra snakebite wedges from last year, 2023. And he said, how did the black finish hold up on these? I'd be curious to watch an on-course review. So I've had these wedges for... well, I guess just over a season.
Yeah.
Because we filmed this last, I think, February.
Probably a season and a half.
Yeah. And I probably should have changed the wedges probably like 3 or 4 months ago. I just never got around to it. So in regards to the finish, they have held up. There's been no rust. There's been no wear. And I've hit a lot of wedges. There's been no wear, no rust. And they have held their groove value for, I mean, I've played probably 80-90 rounds this year, and they have held their groove value, and I did this similar, maybe not quite, maybe half of that last year, so they've held their groove value for over 100 rounds, and I still get spin no problem.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
man. Yeah.
The sole design, the sole grind I really like with those, and I had Cobra through the bag last year, not this year anymore, but I would say if you're looking for a good set of wedges, like that'd be a great beginner barrier to entry wedge.
Yeah.
If you're looking to get more specific and you want to get like different crazy grinds and everything, like Cobra doesn't have like that much specificity, but then obviously you can move into Vokeys or something else. Like
I had the Vokeys, so I had the black ones too. And when I was going to get the fitting, I actually really liked. I thought I was going to get the other finish.
Yeah.
And then when I had the black one in my hand, I thought it was just so much cooler. And then I like that you don't have the glare off of it in the sun.
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. It's so nice having that. They do wear, but the wear looks cool. And if you're hitting it like somewhat on the sweet spot,
you at least have a little bit of an alignment aid.
Yeah, you have a bit of an alignment. You know where to hit it. Actually, it looks kind of tour, to be honest, and it held up. Like it comes off a little quicker than the other stuff. But I've had mine for 2 years and they look great. But I gotta say those snakebite wedges, I really, really liked the relief on the heel.
Yeah.
And then I liked the full face groove feature. I would definitely want to try them the next time.
I really that was the big seller for me is the fact that it only works on the 58 and the 60.
Yeah.
So the grooves go right to the toe. So if you open up the face, you can hit it off the soft part of the toe. You can yada yada. But the heel relief is they have like a small indentation underneath the base of the groove or underneath the base of the sole that allows a little bit of heel relief without having to like grind off a new sole finish. So if you want to open up the face, it actually still sits very flush open to the ground with that little bit of a relief rather than having to like customize and rebend the finish. But the reason that I like the black stuff is because I'm going to be doing it this year, but if I had the choice, if I was just playing to play and I was an average golfer, I'd be doing the black stuff because it's easier to see, there's no glare, and then if you get a good wear spot on it, you get a little bit of an alignment aid as well.
Oh yeah, awesome. But yeah, I definitely recommend those Cobras, I think.
For sure.
They were really comfortable coming from like a Vokey design. They looked just like very comfortable to me.
So and the Vokeys are like big, very big faced wedges, where the snakebite ones were a lot more condensed, which I like. I don't like looking down at like a honking shovel when I go to hit a 60-degree wedge. Like I want to make sure it's tight, it's small, very traditional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. But still, the full face grooves gives you like you're not worried about hitting off the toe because it's too small. Like you actually probably have more surface area to hit.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay, guys. Hope you guys liked us answering some questions for you guys. Stay tuned. We're gonna be making a few more of these, and we'll see you for the next one.